Okay. So we've been talking about aspects of the mind here for quite a few weeks. And today what I would like to do is to go into the law of love. Okay? This is a very powerful law. But you know, it's not just something that is accessed, you know, with the human emotions. There's a certain balance that comes with this, and it's not all about how folks look at it in our world. Well, what I did, I wanted to see how psychology looks at love, because psychology is pretty much how the world is being taught of how love, or what love is all about. So we're taught to view love in a certain manner, and so there are different types of feelings and actions and that people attribute to love. But I want to see where it's coming from. And so in this psychology today, I'm just going to read to you what it shows, and then we'll get into the love that Yahweh wants us to express, and the love that Yahweh is about. Because our scripture do tell us that Yahweh is love. Okay, so now it's in the psychology today that moves to all young people who will go to school and, you know, of the system. If you were to go to a shrink or whatever, or someone, and they're going to tell you what love is all about, they will be telling you something based upon their psychology. And it says love is a set of emotions, behaviors characterized by intimacy, okay, passion, and commitment. So these are going to be characteristics of them. It involves care, closeness, protectiveness, attraction, affection, and trust. It says love can vary in intensity, and it can change over time. And that's what you usually have in this world. They get married, and then they get divorced. And the reason why they get divorced a lot of times is because I don't love him anymore, or I don't love her anymore. So over time, in whatever's been taught, it could change, and it moves from one thing to another. So this is what is taught. But you can see that there is kind of a slight mixture that is there. It says it is associated with a range of positive emotions. And there it goes again, it's moving to our emotions, including happiness, excitement, life satisfaction. So these are going to be, depending upon the range that we're dealing with, these different things are going to have something to do with the range of love that we're going to be experiencing or expressing, okay, according to the psychology. So it has a range of positive emotions, including happiness, excitement, life satisfactions, and euphoria. But it says, but can also result in negative emotions such as jealousy and stress. Well, this is all really what emotions could really get us. Okay? And so what this love that they're talking about, what they're tying it to are human emotions. If you really see what's going on, the love is going to be really based upon human emotions. But the love that we're being taught about, okay, in our scriptures can't be based upon human emotions, because Yahweh is love. There's no way to put it there. Okay, now the scripture does say Yahweh is jealous, but I want to go to that and kind of explain it to you a little bit later. But right now, what I want to kind of stay on is the mode that the love that we're taught and how to express it is really an expression of an unconditional love that actually results in a harmonious life when we have that. Okay? So then our emotions become settled and calm because we're giving ourselves to this way of living that actually goes down into our bone and marrow and actually resets DNA. It actually fixes us. It fixes our emotions. Of course, it's going to take us through some trying times, but we need trying times to actually help us to settle. Okay? So now, we have to be clear about something, though. The love that Yahweh is talking about is a lot bigger than what the psychologists tell us about. And it's a lot bigger than this romantic love that we see in the storybooks and on TV and all these things. You know, it's really about acceptance. Okay? Unconditional love, or the love of Yahweh, is really about accepting people who are in our lives exactly as they are and exactly where they are, without judgment, without any expectations from them. It doesn't involve changing them, okay, or using them to our benefit. It's all about pure acceptance. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to let someone into our inner circle. It doesn't mean that. It means accepting them where they are, because there are a lot of people who the world would consider your enemy, that wants to hurt you, but they're in that place because they really don't know who they are. They have fallen from the power of the Creator, and you are awakening to it. So once you start awakening to it, you start to know or remember that you're a child of the living Father, and every part of the creation is part of the Father. So you're not going to hate them because they're not really your enemy, and you're going to love them even though folks call them your enemy. You're going to love them right as yourself, so you know something different. Now, they don't have the propensity or the power to do that back to you. And that's why you have to simply accept them as they are. Because the Father knows exactly why they're there. Because the Father has the left hand and the right hand, and the Father used both of them, okay, and their essence and energies on either side that He's going to use to bring everything to oneness. And He uses them in that manner. So it doesn't mean that we have to accept people into our inner circle to wreck it, you know, because you have to keep your energy right too. But you have to still love them. Even though they're trying to hurt you, when something comes up and you see that they are suffering and they need relief, okay, and it's in your power to help them, and they come to you for that help, well, then it's your job, because they have come to you for something, and it's our jobs at that point to give them relief. This is what Yahweh is showing us, even though they may be trying to get us in some kind of dire straits. Okay. Now, in Yahshua, we can see Yahshua had an inner circle and of his apostles. But he still loved the people. He went amongst them. A lot of folks was trying to hurt him. He still went amongst them. That's why he had so many issues a lot of times, these guys trying to come and try to entrap him, because he was amongst those guys too. So he loved the people who actually came to him and really, really were in a place of sincerity and wanted help. And he had compassion on them, and the compassion that he had flowing to them and their belief in him was able to allow him to actually heal, or healing to move from him to them, which was based upon them. It wasn't based upon him. It was based upon their ability to allow that faith to receive him, to receive the Spirit that was there with him to come into their space. Okay? This is really what it was. And this is the power of belief that we have gone into and what it could do for us. Okay? So where there is energy is going to flow to the place of least resistance, if you know that. Now, there's a lady that Yahshua was, that touched Yahshua, a widow, or a lady that had been struck with some kind of issue for many, many years. But she believed in her mind that, hey, this if I could only touch this man's garment, I'm going to be healed. Because this man, he's sent things over there, he's touched people this way, whatever. If I could just touch him. So she pressed through the crowd, believing that all she had to do was that. And she touched him, and because of all that she had opened for herself, based upon not clogging that space, that conduit, and that which was on Yahshua, it was like an electrical socket. And she touched that man, or his garment, and energy, and you heard Yahshua talk about it, he said, power was released from me. He says, who touched me? Okay? Well, there's a lot of people who touched him because his apostles went ahead and said, this man is asking who touched him. All these folks pressing up on us, and he's asking who touched him. But he knew someone was open to something. And that, the power that came from him, went specifically to that woman's issue based upon what she was expecting. She was convinced. She knew. This was her faith. And this moved to her. Now, this is the power of love, because love, remember, it endures everything. It overcomes everything. Okay? This is true love. So this actually, the power of love is going to assist this woman. But the power of love is bringing things into balance, into union. And when she touched that individual, and the power that went to her helped her to set certain things in the physical body that was out of balance, to put it in balance. And this is why she was healed at that moment. Now, we're going to look at Yahshua a little bit, okay? Because Yahshua had apostles, and you're going to see the difference, how he treated everybody else, okay? And let's go to Luke, chapter 8. And in Luke chapter 8, we'll go ahead and look at verse 10. Okay? 8, and we'll look at verse 10. It says here, so he said, unto you it is given to know the great secrets of the kingdom of Yahweh. Their secrets. It's not just because it's in the book or the Bible or in some other book. It doesn't mean that people are going to see what's happening, because it's not just like that. Okay, so then he goes like this here now. He says, but to others it is given in parables. Others are going to see it in parables, and they are not ready to make the transition as to the fact that the parable is actually talking about a kingdom of spirit, of the spirit world. So it says here now, that seeing, they may not see. They're not going to grasp it. And hearing, they may not understand it, because their minds are simply attributing everything to a story, not to an experience of the universe and the universe's responsibility to us and our responsibility to the universe. They're not seeing it that way. Most people can't. And so Yahshua, knowing this, he speaks in parables, because this is what is set up for certain people. So you see his inner circle, he said, to you it has been given for this. Now to others who are not in this inner circle, or not in somebody's inner circle who have been given this same spirit as I, because there were others like him around there, okay? Yachanan was before Yahshua. Yachanan had a following too, and he was given certain secrets. Okay, now Yahshua came along, and it was time for Yachanan to go down, and Yahshua was to come up, but there were still no secrets. Okay, if you remember during that time, Yahshua, apostles went out, okay, after they had been initiated by Yahshua to go out and do healing also. They went out all amongst people, and they saw somebody doing what they did, and they forbade him because he wasn't with them, they felt. And Yahshua said, listen, man, don't stop anybody from doing that. Whoever is not against me is for me. Okay, so just let them be. Accept them as they are. Okay, this is what they're going to do. Don't go forcing ourselves upon them in any kind of manner. We don't need to. But at the same time, you don't have to let anybody into your inner circle who is going to create damage for it, because you're about helping and keeping a dynamic flow of energy in order in your circle. Certain kind of energies come in there, it's going to create disruptions, and great disruptions it could. But whose fault would it be? It would be ours for letting it in. Yahweh knew this when he told the children of Israel, listen, you're going to go to these lands and don't make any treaties with these people. Don't let them into your inner circle to do certain things. Okay. They didn't want to do that. And he said, listen, they're going to be a thorn in your flesh. They're going to have, everything is not going to go well for you because you let these cats in there. You went ahead and made treaties with them. No, don't do all those things. Don't let them in that close. You are supposed to be a holy people. Holy means separated. Okay? Unto me. Okay? Let me direct you so I could show you how to be in this particular manner or mode, that you may show others the same way. And those who can see it, they're going to follow you, because they're going to say, how great is this nation who has a father like this directing them? Let us go and get the benefits of this too. Well, Israel didn't do that, of course. If you read the scriptures, they went ahead and followed everybody else. And, of course, corrective actions and corrective modes always came in to get them back into the place that they moved from. This is the same thing that happened to us, guys. Adam and Eve, same thing. We moved off and we fell. Okay. So we see here that Joshua actually had his little inner circle, and in that inner circle, he showed them the secrets, and he just didn't show it to everybody else because everybody else wasn't ready for it. Now, there's a scripture here that speaks about love, the love that we're talking about. 1 Corinthians, if you go there, they call it the love chapter in Christianity, I think. So 1 Corinthians 13, okay? And I'd like us to go there real quick. Okay, and in 1 Corinthians 13, we're seeing what love is about here, okay? That the true love, not the love that is based upon our emotions, okay? Not the one that everyone look at and they feel, well, it's a feeling, and it has to be categorized by these different emotions that comes up in me, and this is how I know if I love this person or don't love this person, another person. And in that mode, I could only love those who I'm friends with, okay, because I have some kind of connection with them, whether emotional or whatever, and then I may not like somebody who I loved yesterday, but today I don't love him because the emotional connection has some issues, because there's some bad frequency that has come in there, and the love changed. And because the love changed, now I hate him, okay? But yesterday I loved him. But then I found out all that he did, and I don't like him anymore. So that love changes. Okay, so here in chapter 13, we're talking about love. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It says, though I speak with the language of men and Malachim, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. Okay? I'm just noise. Just noise. But we're talking about love. So what do I need to have to just not be noise? Okay? Because it says I have to have love. Okay, in verse 2 it says, and though I have the gifts of prophecies and understand all deep secrets and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can move or remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. Man, that is very powerful, because it's telling me right here that I could move a mountain, but if I don't have love, it's going to be on the negative side. That's great to understand. And that I could have all understanding and understand all deep secrets, but if the love is not there, I could be on the negative side. Well, there are spirits that are just like that. There are spirits that understand, as a demon understand, they see, and they believe, and they tremble. Well, they could do a lot of stuff that we can't do. But
one thing they want to stay away from is love. Okay? They want to stay away from love because love is going to drain them of whatever they have and actually bring them to the 0 point before it starts building again on the side of love. And they feel that this is the end of their existence. That's their destruction. That's what they feel. That's why when Yahshua came and said, you're here to destroy us before our time. Why? Because love is going to take over. And their time comes when love is actually taken over. Because when love takes over, yes, that's the last enemy, which is death, which all these demonic forces are in control. They abide in all that stuff. They're all living in that area of darkness. Okay? And death. And once you overcome death, they are considered destroyed from you. You have cast them off. There's nothing that they could do to you. They're in a whole other land to deal in that area, and you have moved off. You have graduated from the 6th day, and now you have gone to their rest. Really, if you think about it. Okay, so even though I got all these things, if I don't have love, I'm nothing. And it's possible to have all these powers, and I could still be a negative force. Okay? On the left hand. Okay, and though I bestow all my possessions to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not love, it is no advantage to me. Because for me to get with the family unit, or into union with the kingdom of heaven, I need love, because that's what it's all about. Now it's going to talk about what love is. Okay, so these are the things that I have to make sure is within me. Okay, and if these things are in me, and I have all these powers to prophesy and move mountains and all these things, hey, then I'm in good shape. I'm in good order. So here goes now. Love is patient. Okay, love is kind. Love is not jealous. Okay, and this is where we're going to know that there's a problem, because it says Yahweh is jealous. He also says Yahweh is love. So which one is it? Okay, because love is not jealous, and if Yahweh is love, then Yahweh is not jealous. But the scripture tells you that Yahweh is jealous. Well, we're going to have to visit that today. Love is not boastful. Love is not puffed up with pride. Does not betray or behave rudely, does not seek its own advantage, it is not provoked, become easily worked up in irritation, it thinks no evil, it's going to accept everybody as they are, where they are, because it knows the Father has them there for His own purpose. Okay? And we've talked about evil, guys, that in our world we consider things to be evil, but really it all cancels out. The Father knows exactly what's going on. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in truth. Does not betray, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. So it's going to endure. It's going to endure. Because love is actually what gets us back home. So it has to endure. Okay? If it doesn't endure, that means we haven't harnessed it if we're failing on the path. Because we somewhere along the line, we have to check what we consider is our love. Notice here now it says, love never fails. I don't want to go any further than that area right there. Okay, so love never fails. Okay, now let's jump down to verse 13. It never fails. But now these three endure. Faith, we have spoken about faith. Okay? We have hope, keeping that expectation going. Okay? And love. But the greatest of these is love. So we're seeing that three are going to endure. And these three, if you're dealing with these three, hey, we're going to be able to tread the straight and narrow. Okay? Faith, hope, and love. Remember, faith is the substance of what you're hoping for. Okay? It's the evidence of what you can't see, not with your physical eyes, because your hope is imaginative. You see it in another space. And you're bringing this into existence based upon the strength of that faith that we're having. Okay? And the hope. Okay, now we could bring things into manifestation in that manner, but we got to make sure, because we just saw these other folks back here who have different powers to manifest and all kind of stuff, but if they don't have love, there's a problem. There's a problem. Okay? So, here we go. Love now is the greatest of all these that we're talking about. Now we're talking about Yahweh's love, and by the way, let's go over to 1 John. We'll look at that real quickly. We're looking at Yahweh's love, and at the same time, they're telling us that Yahweh is jealous. But love is not jealous. Okay? It can't be. Here we go. In 1 John, this is 1 John chapter 4. 1 John chapter 4. Okay, so now love is a power, guys. Okay, that is going to take us back. It is the supreme power that is going to reconnect us to what we fell from. Because we just got done seeing that faith and all this power to do things. Okay, it's not necessarily going to bring us back. We could have those, but we could be functioning in the lower dimensions and having all those powers to trick and to show and direct people off the course. We could have that. It's possible. But love is going to lift us up and take us to higher frequencies. Okay. In chapter 4 and verse 8, it says, "He who does not love does not know Yahweh, because Yahweh is love." We can't know something if we don't have any experience in it. We don't know nothing about it. We can't say too much about it. Let's go to verse 16. Okay? In verse 16. "And we have known and believe the love that Yahweh has for us. Yahweh is love, and he who dwells in love dwells in Yahweh." We have this connection now. Okay? When we have that true love, that brings us into the family, into the fold of the family again. So here, Yahweh, okay, we dwell in love. If we dwell in love, we dwell in Yahweh and Yahweh in us. We have opened ourselves to receive this spirit of oneness, of patience, and all these things that we were going to looking at in Corinthians. Okay, it's not jealous, not boastful, patient, all these things. If we're in that area, all of a sudden we find that we are making a connection. And we could truly say that this is a connection because that's just the union, that's just what we have. That's our personalities now. And we don't have to put on a show for it. It's just what we are. Okay? So we are level. When there's a whole bunch of rigmarole going on, we're level. When everybody's happy and they want to throw a party, we're still level. We're in the same place. Because that is spirit now that has brought you there. But you could look back 10 years from now and you see if there's a whole bunch of issues going on. Hey, they're going to mess my energy up and I'm going to be joining in that because I'm going to shut somebody down to get my peace. That's what's going to happen. Well, that has been removed because now you're not worked up in irritation. You don't move in that direction because something has you. And it's directing you in the Spirit of the Father, bringing you back to the oneness of the family. Okay? Now, let's go to Matthew. Okay? It's going to bring us back in the oneness of the family. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5, and we're going to see who does that. Okay. Now, remember the love that we looked at in 1 Corinthians. Okay? Now, remember Yahweh's love, and that power is in you, and you want to express that power. So whenever you look at 1 Corinthians 13, where it says, love is patient, love is not boastful, love is not jealous, whatever it's saying, say I. Read it every day and say I where it says love. Because Yahweh is love, Yahweh is in you, is the core of you. You're supposed to be expressing that Creator, and that is the love that you have to express. That we are to express. We don't have to. We can express whatever we want to. Okay. So we want to express that. But now this is a mantra for you, and every day you would turn to it and say it. I am not, or I am. All these things in 1 Corinthians 13. And after a while, you're going to know to say it without opening the book. But you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be overlaying a lot of negative energies, and in essence, you're going to be causing them to vacate when you're saying this every day. They're going to begin to vacate. Now, just don't say it one day and say, man, I still had a bad mood. No, say it over and over. If you're not there. Now, if you're there, hey, because you probably already did that. You probably got it some other way. It doesn't really matter. But really what has to happen, you and I have to receive a spirit. Okay? And to awaken a spirit within yourself, because it's already there, you and I have to ignite it. We have to ignite it. Now, you could ignite it with your words. Just like you could ignite another person by telling them something nasty about themselves, all of a sudden they just turn into a Godzilla in front of you. Okay? Those are words. Those are spirit. My word is spirit. Well, not only his word, your words too. They're spirit. So it'll go to somebody, and you can see that they're changing because something has gone into them. Well, in the same manner, you could say something really great to somebody who is in a really toasty mode, and you could bring them down to a nice and calm area because your word is spirit. Now, your word is spirit, but not only to the next individual, to you too. Not only to you coming to me, but to you. And saying it, and not just saying it with empty thoughts, whatever, just repeating whatever. Say it and believe it. When you believe something, you bring it inside of yourself. You bring it into your person. Okay? You bring it past the flesh. You bring it into your heart. You bring it into the bone and marrow. Believe it. We talked about belief. Okay? So you're patient. Don't say, yeah, well, I'm not patient because I just got done doing that over there and I did this over there. That doesn't matter. Who are you? Because you're not that flesh and bone and blood moving around. That's not what you are. That's your encasement right now. Okay? When that goes down, guess what? The real you goes back to where it came from. And that encasement that you have right now, it goes back to where it came from. Well, where is your father from? Your Father begot you. So you have to know who you are. You are patient. Believe it. Don't think that I just got to carry everybody up over there because I didn't like what they were saying and I didn't have the patience to go with this. That's not the situation. You are patient. You do not express jealousy. Well, don't say I'm jealous of this, that. That's not it. You're trying to get something in, okay? And your words, your faith, your hope is power. And it's the power of the Father that you have to exercise and move and express Him. And He's in you. You got to know that. Use your words wisely now. Okay, here we go. We'll look at Matthew chapter 5. And let's look at verse 43 first. It says, you have heard that it has been said, you will love your brother, but hate your enemies. But your brother is the one who they say is your enemy. Or your enemy is your brother. Okay, so therefore I say, love your enemy and bless those who curse you. Do well for those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. They just don't know any better. But if you have awakened, if you're awakening now and you know, you can't be like them. You don't have to bring them into your circle and keep them there or whatever. Hey, but you owe nobody else anything but to love them. Okay, and we're going to learn this love. Okay, and we're talking about it right now. Notice what it says right here in verse 45. Because the sons, they know this. Okay, the sons know this. And don't feel like, well, the sons know this, but I'm a female, so I don't know this. No, a son is simply someone who is going to bring forth the family name. Is a builder of the family name. What's the family name? The family name is that which is under heaven. Okay? I'm going to make sons, give the names of sons and daughters to all these who overcome this. It's Yahweh. Okay, so here goes now. It says, that you might be sons of your Father in heaven. You're going to act just like Him. You're going to, because you're expressing Him. Okay? Notice what He does. They're all His children, but they have fallen from Him. So they don't know exactly the things that He knows, and they're over here moving around, doing things, all in their imbalanced modes, doing stuff. But they don't know that they're harming themselves because they chose to move on. But He's accepting them for who they are, where they are, but they still can't get back to the Garden of Eden unless they get through that flaming Malek. So He's not allowing them back in there, but He loves them anyway. Okay, so here goes. So that you're be sons of your Father in heaven, and He is going to, and you follow His example, make the sun shine over the wicked, the ones who don't want to do what He says, and the ones who are going to do what He says. And sends rain upon the just and the unjust. He's going to accept them, and He's going to give them what their needs are, because He knows, hey, this is what they need to continue moving here. They have these needs. For if you love those who love you, what reward do we have? Because we don't love the whole body. Only those who love us. We don't love these other folks right here who are still children and members of the body. However, they just fallen. They have done all these things to us, and I can't stand them anymore. No. Okay, so we go a little further now. Do not even the publicans do that thing by loving those who love them. And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others, or the Gentiles? Do not even the publicans do the same? Therefore, become perfect, just as your Father who is in heaven is perfect. Well, what it's telling you is to allow the Spirit of Yahweh to dwell within you, that you may express your Father. You and I, we have to express our Father. So we saw that love is not jealous, all those things are, but we saw that there's a problem with jealousy, because jealousy is a negative emotion. Love is a positive emotion. Okay? Now, in our scriptures, the scriptures are translated to reflect that Yahweh is jealous. And many relate to that jealousy as human emotions, the human emotion of jealousy. So I'm going to take us over to Exodus 34, and we look at this. Okay? Exodus 34. And so we want to know how Yahweh is jealous, or why it is translated that way. Because just because it says it, we have to know what it's talking about. Or we don't have to, but it's great to know. In 34 and verse 14 here, it says, and they said, I'm sorry, I'm in Genesis. Exodus 34 and 14. 34 and 14. It says, you shall worship no, some book says other gods. This book says hinder gods. Okay? And really what it's saying, guys, is do not do anything that's going to create hindrance with you dealing with your Father. Don't bring anything in there that's going to disrupt that energy flow of your Father coming and dealing with you and you dealing with your Father. Okay? So this book says hinder gods. It's not necessarily wrong. Some books say other gods, and it's not necessarily that. It's not, because everything has to be under the one anyway. Okay. So it says, do not worship any hinder gods at all, for Yahweh, who is jealous, it says of his children in this, but he's not jealous of anything. Okay? But we're going to see it. Is a jealous Father who is provoked by, this is in this book right here, this is the word that's in italics here. It says, who is provoked by any gods. He's not provoked by any one of them, because none of them is going to move outside of what he wants anyway. They can't provoke him because they all listen to, he's the head. None of them, he ain't going to worry about none of them. They're going to do what he says. They will do, just like it says, Satan came before me, whatever, before Yahweh, okay, the representative of Yahweh who was at that meeting, and couldn't do anything outside of what Yahweh said to do. Well, why would he worry about the gods, these other gods? Why did he get provoked by them? They can't do anything outside of what he says. Okay, so we see what that is. And we're looking at that because that's the mind of most people who look at this jealousy thing. We look at it in the sense of this human emotion. Okay, so what we got to understand about this jealousy is in the supreme plan of redemption, which is bringing us back to the Father. Okay? Because we have fallen, and there has to be a redemption. Now, you can't redeem what you never had. Okay, so that's one thing we got to know. The only thing you can redeem is something you had before. So redemption is going back. Back to what? Well, if you're fallen, what did you fall from? Okay, so you're going to redeem that. Okay? So there's a plan of redemption. And that's the first thing. Okay, in this plan of redemption. Now, let's go over to Genesis chapter 3 real quick. In this plan of redemption, there are those energies that weigh us down to what is called hell, if you will, or our experience here that is like hell. And there are those energies that strengthens us, okay, and helps us to bear that weight of those negative energies, also, and even altogether shake it off us. Give us the power to totally shake it off to what is called an experience of heaven. Again, our own experiences that we're making here. Okay, we're making that experience. Now, in Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to go to verse 24. Okay? So Yahweh has set a course for directing everybody back, but everyone is not going to come back at once, because only those who are ready are going to be able to cross over. If we're not ready, we're not going to cross over. And He's not going to force anyone to do anything. We're going to have to accept it in ourselves and then do it. You know, because if He forces us, hey, we are in this place that we're trying to express what we want to express in our own imbalanced mode. He doesn't want to stop that. No, we have to choose that. Only those who choose, okay, have their will in it. If you look at everything that came to the temple to help the temple to be rebuilt, it was always those who were willing. The temple is a body. Okay? It's the body, the heavenly body. It's your body. Okay? It's just a body. It's the body of Yahweh. Okay. So we're looking at this. Okay. So here it says, so He drove out the man and placed cherubim at the east of the garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. And the tree of life was in the midst of the garden. So something was there that turned every which way to guard the way back in. Well, we left the garden. We got banished from the garden. So redemption is going back to where we came out of. Right? We were connected to the tree of life. We got tossed out of there, so the tree of life was in the midst of the garden. We're outside the garden now. Well, redemption is getting back in there, but there is something there that's going to test you and I. And it's a flaming sword. Fire. In your life, there's going to be fire. There's going to be tests and trials. Okay? Your Father wants to know if you love Him first and foremost, or you and I love our own lives. Because that's going to be what moves us to this love that He's talking about. Because the love is not me loving my wife in all this way, cheesy and lovey-dovey. That's not the love that He's talking about. Okay? He's talking about the love that you have and I have towards these principles that He has laid out. And that's number one, because when I live those principles, everything is in balance around me. And because I'm simply expressing my Father. He said, do this, that's what I did. He said, don't do that, I didn't do that. I'm expressing Him. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to. Okay? So He's directing this way, okay, for those who are ready, but not everybody's going to be ready, okay? Which is going to strengthen us again to be able to bear this weight or to altogether shake it off. He's doing this. Or to get past this cherubim with the flaming sword, which is guarding the way back into the garden, which we fell from. See that? Okay, now let's go over to Matthew. We're going to make the point. Matthew chapter 7. And now we're going to look at verse 14. Okay, so to do that now, it requires coming into union. We can't just get past the cherubim with the flaming sword, because they're going to cut every which way to test us to make sure that we're ready to come back into union. Okay? Unity, oneness, that marriage, which is cultivated by the instructions that the Father has given us, called the laws, all right? That He lays down for all to follow if we're going to remain and progress, if you will, on that path of going back or getting redeemed. So here is that. This path is called now the straight and narrow. So this path is a straight and narrow path which leads us back to something, to life. Okay, so in verse 7, chapter 7, verse 14, he says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leads to life. What did we just get done looking at? There's something guarding the way back to the tree of life. Okay? So to get past that Malachim, we have to be straight and narrow. Because if we're not straight and narrow, that guy has something to cut. He got something to cut. And we're not going to like it when it starts cutting. Because it has flames. And we can't handle the flames. But if we're straight and narrow, we're going to be handling everything, because the weight or whatever we feel we have, it's just going to be a perception. It's just going to come down to perception. It's going to rip me apart, or it's going to be like, hey, I trust in the Father with it. And I'm going to move. And I'm going to be able to get past the cherubim that has a flaming sword to cut every which way to make sure nothing gets back and connects to that tree of life unless it's ready. So I have to get on the straight and narrow path. I can't just go do whatever I want to. Straight and narrow. That's what he says. I believe that. Okay? So straight and narrow path, okay, which takes us back to life, which we have separated ourselves from by our own courses, the things that we do. Okay. Now if we don't choose the straight and narrow path, okay, we simply don't get past the cherubim. So we don't get to reconnect with the tree of life. Okay? We just don't do that. So because we can't get past that, and so if we're not going to get past that, we're not going to be, because getting past that means redeemed back to what you and I fell from. Because we were outside the garden, now we want to be redeemed. And now remember, Yahweh is your Redeemer. He's your Redeemer, so He's setting up how you and I will get redeemed. We got to get past this guy right here. And He's telling you, hey, you got to get on this path that I tell you here, and it's a straight and narrow path. And besides, He says, few are going to find it. It's not going to be easy. So He's telling us something, okay? Because everybody's not going to get there. The most committed to the straight and narrow path, they're going to pass this guy. Because when they get to that guy is going to cut, whatever the case is, there's nothing to cut. Because they're not holding on to anything in this life. They have let go. They could love their children, love somebody else's children, just the same as they love their own. They're not worried about that. If their children don't want to follow the words of Yahweh, it's no different than anybody else that don't want to follow. They're there. That's just what they are. That's just the reality of it. Because their children are children of the Most High too, and they're just here to bring them up and let them do their thing. They're not theirs. You are not even your own. How could your children be yours? if you are not even your own? You're here for a job. When we realize that job, then we could let go of everything, because the only duty is to reverence your Father then. And you know that it ain't about getting all these things, these ducks in a row that may fly off quacking anyway. It's not even about that. Okay, so, all right, so now, so if you pass this cherubim, or the cherubim that has this flame cutting every which way, to be redeemed back into what we fell from. Now, we were part of this family. Okay, we were still part of that family, but we have fallen into this ditch and can't help ourselves. We don't have the power that we did before we fell. Okay? So now we have to come back and get back to the family. Do you remember the parable of the prodigal son? He finally figured out, now this down here is not doing me right. I have to turn back and go back to the family. He went back to the family, and then he functioned in the unit, in the oneness of the family once again. The family name, Yahweh. Those who overcome, I will give this name. That is better than sons and daughters. It's the same name. Okay? He's your Father. Okay? Now, it's not the supreme overall thing that we're not the absolute all. You know, the folks, I know folks could be offended there, but this is all the creation of Yahweh. All of this is the creation of Yahweh. And Yahweh has set you and I in here to express Him. And when we came in, guys, we were family members, or still are, but we had a lot more mental space, a lot more spirit energized of light. And we were in here expressing the Father, doing the job. Until something came by and says, do you really think that you can't do what I want to do over here and do what He says to? He knows He's just tricking you. And so we kind of moved into this area. Now, these are all allegories. It's more than that, but obviously this is a message that we don't have time to get into those things. But really, whatever we did, it caused us to lose access to the tree of life. So we had to go outside there, and now there is something guarding the way for us to reconnect to what we lost. But someone is our Redeemer. So the Redeemer got to show us how to get there. Okay? So this is how it's going now. Okay. So we left, okay? Okay, so the prodigal son, us, we left to exercise our own out-of-balance will, okay? Which naturally brings forth corrective measures. Because it's not according to what the Father wants. It's according to what we want. So it naturally doesn't go along with the Father. And so some cutting has to be done to get us there. And that's what it's coming down to. Now, okay, here now. So this attribute of Yahweh is translated as His jealousy in our scriptures. This attribute of Yahweh bringing correction to guide us, to help us to get past this Malachim, it's translated as jealousy. But it's not jealousy, guys. It's love. It's the love He has for His children. That He is going to make sure that that child, when he doesn't listen, he gets a spanking. Just like you would do that as a parent when you direct your child and that child doesn't listen and you raise the intensity, the child still doesn't listen, you may have to put something to that child's bottom. Because you love them. Not because you worked up an irritation, no, because you want to correct his ways or her ways. It's love. Okay? It's this corrective mode, which is truly from the Father, His love to His creation, to bring everything into the union. The union of total balance, that same union under one family, the one family name, which is the collective body we call Yahweh. And everything is of this kingdom, which receives all glory and all honor, and when we're function within it, all the glory and honor we receive too. Because we're part of that body, and if that body is getting it, guess what? You're getting part of it. If everything is of the kingdom, and all the glory goes to that body, and all the honor goes to it, that means what you do is not for you separately, it's for the same honor and glory of Yahweh, which is the body that you belong to, or the family that you belong to. So when you do for that family, you do for you. And as you glorify that family, you glorify you. If we're doing it the way Paul says. And so it's not jealousy, as in, well, you don't do something that I tell you to do, I'm done with you, chick. No. It's you don't do what I tell you to do, you're not going to get past this cherubim right here, okay? And if you're going to go along with the bullheaded work that you're doing, then we're going to run into natural corrective measures, which is my love, that is meant to correct you and bring you back home. So you could see again and get the powers that you lost. Because I'm your redeemer. I'm the one who gives you back what you had and what you lost. This is what's being said, guys. So it's not jealousy in the sense of what humans think. It's not that. Okay? This is love without conditions. This is what this is. Okay? Let's go over to Romans chapter 12. Love without conditions. Romans chapter 12. And we're going to look at verse 9. 12 and verse 9. Okay? Now, this right here says, the subheading in this book says, behave like Yahweh Himself. Okay? So it says here, love without hypocrisy. This is what I express. Okay? Don't let my love be fake. Okay? It's only here to let everybody else see that I care here. But when everybody else is not around, it can't be expressed that way. No, the power of Yahweh is expressed through you always. Okay? And when a situation or some circumstances come up that you see that you're not expressing the Father, hey, you check yourself. You may not be able to handle the matter right then, but the very fact that it has come to your mind is let it know that your Father's Spirit has just come to you to give you that message for you to do something about it. For you and I to express checking ourselves right here in the physical world. Okay? But He's not going to make us do it. I mean, He can, and sometimes it happens that way. It depends on how far off we're going. But generally, it's going to be your choice. It's going to be how you and I feed it. What energy are we feeding? Here goes now. So love without hypocrisy, abhor what is evil, cling to what is righteous, be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love, in honor, showing deference, this respected honor, to one another, not slothful in business, fervent in your spirit, serving your Father, okay, or reverencing your Father, which is your only duty upon this planet, rejoicing in hope, persevering through tribulation or the fire, because you can't get past the Malachim unless we could persevere. Okay? Okay, continually steadfastly in prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitality, blessing those who persecute you, bless and do not curse anyone, no matter what they're doing to you. Okay? Because you have to be a son of the Most High, of this creation. Okay, rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind towards one another. Do not set your minds on high things, but associate yourselves with the humble. Do not be wise in your own conceit. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to be above reproach in the sight of all men. If it is possible, as far as it depends upon you and I, live peaceably with everybody. Dearly beloved, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave the way open for Yahweh's will, or his, what they call his wrath, or his corrective measures, to work. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh. And all that comes down to, guys, is when I act, how is he going to repay me for my evil that I do? When I start doing something that it is bringing negative consequences, hey, I'm moving to an area of negative frequencies. And I'm having those things attached to me. Well, those things are in the place that is going to create a corrective measure in my life. Yahweh doesn't have to come and say, go get him. Doesn't have to. That doesn't mean that some of us don't have special areas in our lives that things are directed specifically for us. It doesn't mean that. Okay? Because that happens too. There's something that you may specifically need for yourself that, yeah, you may be given something to ride you for a moment. Remember Shaul said, he said, hey, I had this issue. He called it a thorn in his flesh. Okay? He said, he saw it. It was his tongue, actually. Okay? Because he ready to tell everybody off at any time. Okay? And stones folks, that he used to have that stuff that he used to stone the apostles or the believers. Well, when he became part of the apostles, he didn't get rid of all that stuff that moved him to stone those guys. And if you remember, he was arguing with Kepha. When Kepha came, he was acting a certain way with the Gentiles, and I told him right in front of his face. So he was like, man, Father, help me with this mouth, which he called a thorn in his flesh, in his nature. Okay? And he said it was he had that thing put there to keep him humble. So something could be set up on you for a specific reason. He said Yahweh gave that to him to keep him in a certain place. So it could be done. Okay, so remember that. Okay, so it doesn't mean that everything's going to go a certain manner and that nothing's going to be given to you beyond anybody else. Everyone could have something assigned to them based upon where we are. Okay, because if he didn't have that, there would be no reason to give it to him for that reason. Okay, so something could be given to us just to help us to get through, to do our work. So Yahweh, to Yahweh is vengeance. So Yahweh brings everything into balance with anybody. Okay, therefore, if your enemy hungers, or the one who they consider as your enemy, feed him. Okay, don't make him starve to death. So that's now I have gotten rid of that enemy. If he thirsts, give him drink. For in so doing, you are going to heap up coals of fire on his head. He hates you, and guess what you're doing, guys? You are loving him. The coals of fire is simply a trials of corrective measures to show him that his hatred for you is not justified because you're bringing love to him and all he's doing is hate. So something has to help him to get balance into his life or her life. Okay? So now, Now it says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with righteousness. And this righteousness that is talking about, guys, it's love. Because righteousness is what Yahweh, the instructions Yahweh gives, what you have to express for your Father here. And it says your Father is love. Okay? So it's coming down to loving without conditions. Okay? Doesn't matter who it is. You're simply here to do what your Father says to do. And if you could believe in that, you are going to be able to love without any conditions.